This is the most negative barrage of comments I have received about a game's lack of integrity, and that's not even counting Giants-related bias. Consensus from those in the NFL and those who've been associated with it: disgrace. That's not the fault of the Washington football team. All right, let's talk about it, because frankly, it is about as interesting a way for an NFL season to end as I can remember in a very long time. What word would you use to sum up that decision?
Strange. When I see it right there, at first I'm like, did something happen to Jalen Hurts? And then when, I still never knew. But you don't, look, Pederson's a good football coach, but that's a horrible moment for him. And quite honestly, I questioned going into the game the commitment of the Philadelphia Eagles, of being a true pro, lining up and play. And when I saw that injury report and the guys who weren't playing, I was shocked on how many guys, he mentioned some guys that were playing, but there was a whole list of guys that weren't. And then making this move, absolutely awful.
Ryan Clark, what do you think?
You know what I thought in 256 games, right, that the NFL fought through a pandemic to bring you, even one of those games starting a practice squad receiver at quarterback, this was the most disgraceful. This was the one they should have allowed to be canceled, to be postponed. This is the one that protocol should have taken over because of the way it finished. Doug Pederson is talking about, we tried to win. They still had Brandon Graham. We had Darius Slay on the field. Well, I saw Deshaun Watson play to the very end, and he's one of the best players, one of the best quarterbacks in this league because his coach and their quarterback was trying to win the football game. And when Chris Mortensen sends out a tweet, and Mort says in that tweet that it was disgraceful, but not because of the Washington football team. When in this decade, when in this year, when forever do we hear disgraceful, and it involves two teams, and we have to make a distinction that it's not because of the Washington football team? That's what this decision was for Doug Pederson. That's what this decision was for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's a terrible way to end the season that for 17 weeks you fought so hard to give your fans the games that were scheduled.
That's a point really well taken. Deshaun Watson fought to the end yesterday in a meaningless game. Matt Stafford, playing with a variety of injuries, played the entire day yesterday. And they wanted to get Nate Sudfeld's snap stand like this was week 4 of the preseason. I mean, what is that?
Last night was a mockery. It was an absolute mockery. We hear the term tanking in sports all the time. And we as ex-players will often say, listen, front offices, they will tank. Yes, because it's better for their organization long term. Coaches and players just don't. You just don't see it. They're not wired that way. Last night was the first time that I felt I saw it. A coach obviously tanking. You can't get up there at the end of the game and say, well, it was obvious, or I was trying to coach to win, and then in the very next sentence say, I felt like Nate Sudfeld deserved reps. Those two things cannot be synonymous with each other. Those two things cannot both happen at the same time. This is a football team that had 9 wins last year in the playoffs, but it's 9 wins. They got 4 this year. It's the same football team that their coach chose to take a tie at the beginning of the year, or accept a tie rather than try to go get that win, right? And we can make fun of the NFC East all we want, but at least they tried. Those 4 teams tried to win games this year. They weren't good, but they tried every single game until the last one to win. The NFL is about respect. It's about respect in every single aspect on the field. Philadelphia City, as a city, is prideful. They don't want things the easy way. They want it the hard road. They're always the group that believes no matter what people say, they got a shot. They don't want things given to them. Last night, it felt different. It felt like that was wrong in so many different ways.
Well, the busiest person at ESPN today is going to be the one that you see in the lower corner of your screen there. Adam Schefter has gotten up with us as well. Good morning, Shefty. And you began the day from a Philadelphia perspective with the reporting about the relationship between Carson Wentz, who was a healthy scratch, and Doug Pederson. Take us there for those who didn't get to see that.
Well, Chris Mortensen said that the relationship between those men was fractured beyond repair. And I think what you're seeing is people jockeying for offseason position. And Carson Wentz clearly not happy with the events that have unfolded there in Philadelphia, in particular this season. He's been benched. He's seen Jalen Hurts take over his starting job. And now we head to an offseason in which there's a real chance that Carson Wentz is going to want out and want to move on from Philadelphia and try to go elsewhere. Now, we'll see what happens with that. clearly at the heart of this is his relationship with Doug Pederson and what exists right there. So we'll see how that shakes out going forward, Green. You got my dogs barking in the background. Very sorry about that. I could go shut my door.
We like it.
They're upset with it, too.
It adds. They're disgusted by the decision to put Nate Sudfeld in the fourth quarter of that game. Go ahead, RC, because I could see you were done.
That's the sound from Philadelphia. The people in Philadelphia still screaming
That's
about
exactly right. Or it's the Dog Pound. They're celebrating in Cleveland. We're going to get to them shortly. But RC, go ahead.
No, I just think when Adam is telling you about the relationship between Carson Wentz and Doug Pederson, you know how to save it? At least now you can go have the conversation and say, well, hell, Carson, you got a chance to compete because I put Nate Sudfeld in the game instead of Jalen. So obviously he's not our guy going forward. When you look at the decisions that have been made in Philadelphia, some of them have been questionable. I think people eventually thought you had to move on from Carson Wentz, but now we're at a point to where every week we hear something from the backup quarterback. Every week we're trying to make a decision on who's the starter. This organization is a mess. And in some of those reports, they're saying Doug Pederson is probably back. They need to really reevaluate where they want to be in the future and if this coach is the guy to lead them. Because right now, with all you hear from there, with all you see from there, this is an organization that's going in the wrong direction.
Go ahead, Rex.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this, first off, Carson Wentz, this is absolutely ridiculous how these statements keep coming up and all that. Just man up, dude. Just man up, because the organization, Greeny, it's going to be hard to move on from this guy. It's going to be hard to trade him, just based on how the contract is. But are you kidding me? Grow up, compete. What is wrong with competition? That makes everybody better. You just want everything handed to you? Like, to me, it's an absolute joke. And, is he trying to posture to get Doug Pederson run out of town? It was interesting to me, when Dan talked about how, this guy's tanking, the coaches. Why? Does he want to get run out of town? I don't know.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.